Hey guys, so this video is not intended for anyone under the age of 18. We will be discussing these allegations and mentioning these topics, but ultimately I did not make this video for anyone who is not an adult. If you are a minor, I understand. You might feel mature and okay speaking on this topic, but please respect that I don't personally feel comfortable offering this information to you. Please respect that and feel free to enjoy any of my other content. It's completely free and I made it that way. This also goes for anyone who is just generally uncomfortable with these topics. You are completely valid to not want to be part of this conversation. It was very mentally taxing just for me to make. I love you, I value you, and I'll see you next time. For those who have decided to stay, today we'll be talking about the allegations surrounding Bad Dragon, a fantasy adult toy company specializing in silicone toys and accessories. Their toys are catered towards species like dragons, werewolves, and even equines, ranging from very tiny ones to impossibly large ones. They have been accused of some pretty egregious things across several platforms, even by ex-employees. So today we're going to be going through and verify the true ones and discuss ones that might either be untrue or even misleading. For those wanting to potentially discontinue support, please note that E621 is a site owned by the co-founder and CEO of Bad Dragon, Varkra, and I am told Ink Bunny runs off of one of their servers as well. But before we get started, it cannot go without saying, I recognize that is easily going to put a hit out on fantasy toy companies, unfortunately. When cases like these come out, it automatically makes everyone fearful of one another and question brands and people they believe they knew. In addition, people will try to use this as a way to bolster their argument against the sexual side of the fandom, a crusade that's been happening for years. There are people who don't believe that there's a line between fantasy and reality, and things like mersuiting and pet play are things that lead to eventual zoophilia. So NSFW's artists are often targets of these campaigns, with the idea that reacting before they have a chance to do something bad, even if they never will. We have to recognize that this is a fandom of individuals, and this story does not represent anyone else but the companies mentioned in this video. But this is something that we have to keep in mind, that the bias does exist, and we have to be cognizant and try and overcome so we can speak truthfully. Of the allegations, we have cultural and racial insensitivity, marketing with age-baiting toys as well as reference to children's media, creating a website to safely molest reptile pets, employee mistreatment in the form of art theft and transphobia with their partner site e621.net, physical acts of Bestiality on a dolphin from the owner of a company. And finally, the most shocking and outlandish is that they were casting dead animals to make their toys. Beyond this is a very large list of quality control issues and potentially making knockoffs of their brands. Note, not all of these are true. The whole point is we're discussing the allegations, and I will be discussing which ones I do believe are true and which I don't believe are. But either way, they are all alleged. All of my sources are linked below, and I also state to YouTube and everyone watching, whether I say these are true or untrue, this is my own personal opinion on the situation after nearly 15 hours of research and scripting. Please do not sue me. So the majority of these claims are from the Toy Master List Tumblr, which I will link in the description. Several of the products in question are no longer available or out of season, and some of the tweets have been deleted, but I will be sure to keep that notation as it arises. Many of the references are as far back as 2008, when the company was founded, but that does not attest to how the company functions now in terms of quality, PR, and customer relations, yet several of the allegations do still stand. Every now and then I'm going to reiterate, regardless of the allegations, this company does not represent furries, the sex toy industry, mersuiters, pet play, or the kink community. People will surely try to use even the untrue allegations to spark waves of claims towards others, and that is not what this video is about, and that is not what this video is intended for. With all of that in mind, without further ado, let's get started. So, Bad Dragon released a line of horse-themed toys with these three colors, and the names were considered racist because they named them Pale, Peach, and Ebony. This one I'm just gonna straight up mark as untrue. A lot of people white knight thinking that Ebony is racist to black people because the color ebony represents very dark brown to pitch black. However, people with very dark and ebony skin tones do exist, which this color notably was. Comments asked them to change it to beige, light brown, and dark brown, which sure, but saying ebony is oppressive is just doing too much. Ebony colors exist. This one I don't think is racist, and that's all on that. In terms of cultural insensitivity, so as you may know, many of their figures are based off of fantasy creatures, from unicorns to werewolves. Within that also falls cultural mythology creatures. In case of their models, Meng the Chinese dragon and Pretzel the worm. Now, Meng is the actual top half of a dragon sooner than the actual dragon's underbitch, which makes it very unique. And Pretzel is based off a serpent dragon, which was considered linked with Aztec mythology. Now, because all mythology stems from different cultures, religions, and backgrounds, I don't think that this is in any way insulting to those facts. I've talked about cultural appropriation in a previous video, and with a company that focuses on fantasy characters of all types and backgrounds, ones, I'm gonna say this one is untrue. Next up is marketing with age-baiting toys as well as referencing children's media. So the store has had multiple toys and color referencing things like My Little Pony, Zootopia, Pokemon, Digimon, which I guess is supposed to mean it's a pedophilic company or something that makes models referencing these. All I have to say is tons of adults partake in this media. The site isn't marketing itself to children whatsoever, and they once made a Minion-themed set that honestly was just hilarious. But I will note that of their models' concept characters, there wasn't a My Little Pony, which I usually see as children, so that makes me kind of uncomfortable. However, I am told the ponies are considered canonical adults. I looked through the model names that are referenced in the document, and the only underage concept art for their toys I really saw were Snowball the Deer and Sugar the My Little Pony, which are both still available in shop. They also did have a model that sparked a lot of controversy called the Adolescent, and it was marketed as a young dragon. I am personally of the mind that this is pretty distasteful. This is when they first pretty much started their company. This was quite a few years ago. I know there's the argument that it still is just fantasy, which I usually fall into, but I draw the line that media should contain consenting adults. Even fantasy creatures need to be of age for me to be okay or dismiss it for the most part. Beyond that, it will make me uncomfortable. As far as I'm aware, the company retracted this model as it was quite some time ago. A few model descriptions of their toys also had some non-consensual themes in the backstory behind the model's character as well. I get that they're just character descriptions and you can easily separate the character description from the actual product that you get. You don't have to keep associating it with that. But I think, honestly, I just kind of see it as unnecessary. Don't get me wrong, you can write saucy scenes to advertise the uses of your toys, but there are plenty of ways to express it without involving non-consensual themes, which many people clearly find distasteful, while some can overlook it because it is a fantasy description of a character that does not exist. Next are quality control issues and potentially making knockoffs of other brands. Now, the Beware kept redirecting me to this Tumblr as a source whenever I tried to find specific things it was referencing, but even after filtering through tags, I literally couldn't find it, and it was incredibly frustrating. I'm so tired. Why does Tumblr still exist? But a lot of these claims are either deleted or lost to time, but so a handful of the allegations for this one were very quickly pushed off my radar that I could find. This is also due to knowing that Bad Dragon does have a history with very good reviews. They even have a section on their website that is dedicated for flops and misprints. Even the smallest nicks will toss a product into the clearance bin. I'm not personally sure why this matters though, considering they openly stated and showcased every flaw that the toys had, and even show you pictures before you purchase, so you can make an actual informed decision. But that's also what happens when a lot of these are hand poured, so there's going to be a few mistakes on some of them, which the company does note, which means marbling and colors will vary and even bleed in rare instances. But for a product that costs over $100 in most cases, I completely understand people wanting things to be exact. Beyond that, there was a lot of discontent with the site as it went through updates, the Bad Dragon site. A few discontinued colors were still featured on their page after quite a bit, which confused customers. The rewards program was retracted, as well as some size measurements were off a little bit. And for some of their models, however, I do feel like these have been fixed, as the site has been updated several times since then. They're not going to get it perfect on the first try, so adding that into a Beware document isn't necessarily something that I approve of, because it does seem so unimportant in consideration with the actual largest claims of this Beware, so I always try to keep out petty things. So I'm going to generally say that this one is just debunked, as many claims were also from years ago, and I do personally know that their quality is pretty good. So next we're going to talk about employee mistreatment in the form of art theft and transphobia with their partner site e621.net. Now, Bad Dragon for a while had a site called Bad Dragon Labs where people could submit designs and get them voted on to be in shop. This was a super cool idea with tons of awesome designs coming forward. However, eventually it was discontinued and has been under construction ever since. Those that submit designs are no longer have access to them and are not allowed to reproduce or even manufacture any of their submissions to this site. I was not able to find any testimony of this being the case, and however, this isn't an uncommon practice for contests like these. I don't think it's the most fair thing to do, but it also depends on the rules for submission that we no longer have access to. The accusation also says that Bad Dragon has grifted some of these designs from the artists as well as other companies. I went through each source so you don't have to, and I'm going to put this one straight up under debunked but plausible. Of two of their examples I was able to get a hold of, they were flimsy and didn't even seem that similar. As for transphobia, there is an attached testimony of someone who worked there and basically described the E621 staff that you shouldn't lump several terms into one category. The idea was that femboy, cunt, man, boy, hermaphrodite, intersex, and dick girl were all lumped under the tag hermaphrodite, especially considering the fact that intersex is a medical thing that you're born with and is not the same as the sexual descriptions of the rest. I want to assume that they have since changed it, but I'll be honest, I'm not feeling up to looking through porn tags at the moment, so I'm just going to put that one in the plausible section. So now we're going to get into the much more serious accusations. Creating a website to safely molest reptile pets. Interestingly enough, the website provided on the beware herpy.net actually redirects you straight to Bad Dragon. So the domain is owned by them, and I was able to actually find a forum asking where the site had gone. It details a conversation from 2016. A commenter laments that the site is gone and describes it as a site where files were officially tolerated. But the site seemingly tolerated a lot of submissions that could easily be considered bestiality if they were described as being for medical purposes. The next accusation are physical acts of bestiality on a dolphin from the owner of the company. While the co-founder did not perform these acts, he actually did pay for them to be performed. I was led to a Tumblr post depicting a person's recalling of the text between 2 of the 4 co-founders and found a video that they shared with each other of a man performing oral sex on a dolphin. The first blog is a personal testimony, and while it does sound like hearsay, it does include the actual video in question as well as lines up with the second source. The second source is a heavily detailed and professional depicting of the entire bestiality ring run out of Connieland's dolphin tank in Switzerland, with tons of links and many sources, some of which are no longer available, but given the tone of in previous blogs that are posted by this person, I have very little doubt that proof does not exist. It is important to note that Connieland exhibit that also made national news for having overdosed and killed 2 dolphins at the Dolphinarium and was eventually shut down in 2013. Basically, people would pay for acts being performed on the animals, and the blog states, quote unquote, that 4chan thread also contains some of the backstory behind the Draker video, and some insight to how it got leaked in 2007. The video itself clearly watermarked as being intended for Brian Athus Dreyer. This was done in order to keep him from spreading it and to control the number of copies in existence. Brian, in this case, is the co-founder of Bad Dragon and died in 2011 in a car crash. It is presumed that his partner Nars is still active at the company as a co-founder. I also did a bit of searching and found a very coincidental clue. An old LiveJournal thread by Athus I was taken to. If you go and click on to see his old art, you'll notice that the site is taken down. But coincidentally, if you actually look at the URL, it will take you to a site called dolphindreams.dolphinparadise.net/Athus. Even though the site is down, that still lines up with the allegations at the time. So the accused interaction and all these exchanges all happened around 2008 when the company was first created. Granted, that was many years ago. There is still a potential that these are in some way fake. And it's also imperative to remember that the person we're talking about is unfortunately no longer alive. And there's a really big chance that none of this actually does reflect the current company currently at Bad Dragon. They have a completely huge staff of employees, and it's been so many years since then. We have no idea if these people have changed or if they were even part of this. And finally, the most shocking and outlandish claim is casting dead animals to make their toys. While the previous allegations hold some water, this one is obviously fake. However, it still doesn't offer a happy ending. So the idea was that Bad Dragon uses dead animals, makes silicone molds of their underbits, and sells them. Even conceptually, that doesn't make sense. Without blood flow, you have nothing to sculpt, basic anatomy. And even from Bad Dragon's first launch, they heavily relied on sculpted molds, and today they use 3D print technology. However, while Bad Dragon is not an offender, and this claim is not true in regarding to them, I figured this allegation had to come from somewhere. So after some research and asking around, I actually found the real culprit. A company called Exotic Erotics openly on their front page states that they use real life casts in living animals as well as humans. I hate this. I hate this more than you can imagine and this is not only going to fuel some people into thinking that they can use this as an excuse to tear down every company for potentially being malicious behind the scenes, but I didn't want to shield the public from this because you should make informed decisions. That's all I can really hope for. In conclusion, if there were any allegations that I missed in this document, it's most likely either the source was deleted and I couldn't verify it, or it linked me to that terrible Tumblr page in which the site refused to let me navigate. Now, I have to end this with a few words. There are people who genuinely don't care what a company stands for depending on the product they receive. I mean, if that wasn't true, Chick-fil-A would be out of business. People make the argument that just because the owner of a CEO is a bad person, you can't say that about every employee. employee. You can't say that about every factory. I understand people can walk away with all this information and make the informed decision to continue supporting the company, and I can't change that, nor will I berate those who do. But if you come across anyone who says that they've purchased from Bad Dragon, sooner than accuse them of supporting a company or being ignorant, just share this video. Many of these allegations are years and years old, and while some of the problems do persist, Bad Dragon is a company with beautiful hand-sculpted toys and high-quality toys. You have to make the informed decision on maybe the time frame is just too far gone for you to care. Maybe no matter what I said in this video, you don't care and you're fine supporting them. I can't change that, nor am I gonna fight you on it, because I loved this company so much. I wanted to get big enough to be sponsored by them. I wanted to make models for them. I wanted to die one day and have my ashes poured into a custom mold so I can fuck shit up one last time. But unless I can get counter information regarding these claims, that dream has all but perished, and I'm here, sad, alone. No dreams. So here are some companies that you can support. I wanted to give you a list of alternatives that from my knowledge are decent and have quality products akin to Bad Dragons. Of those include Ambush Toys, Primal Hardware, Volpini Design, Howling Hole, PPP Sculptors, Kudo Voodoo, Built Up Beasts, Silicart, Freak Club, Jabbercocky Co., Vixen Creations, Strange Bedfella, Wyvern's Vault, and Squishy Toys. But please let me know all your thoughts. This video was extremely upsetting to make research and probably took 2 years off of my life. I want to start showcasing more trustworthy people in the fandom as well, so it doesn't always feel like doom and gloom. I really hope that, people can make an informed decision, whether they choose to support them or not. Please don't use this to start fights. YouTube is definitely 100% going to suppress this video because of the content, so however well this video does is completely up to everyone supporting to share it. So here's hoping that we can at least get a few people aware of the situation. But either way, thank you for watching all the way through. I really appreciate you. Even if this video did upset you in some way, like it upset me, I really appreciate you for watching my videos. But as always, my name is Nick. Remember, keep it